welcome to Let's Talk ASPM. Now, today, we're going to talk about correlation or deduplication. Which is it? Is it correlation or deduplication? So often I get involved in conversations where organizations are saying, hey, Kim, what do you do for deduplicating findings from across tools? And I think I really, this is something which I talk about all the time. Anybody that's been on one of those conversations with me or watched other episodes of the podcast know that this is something that I'm very passionate about, that we need to be thinking about is it deduplication or is it correlation? Now, deduplication means I'm not going to talk about the second thing. So something comes in, or I've got two findings, two things that I found, and like, these are the same thing, throw one away, is in essence what we're doing when we talk about deduplication. Now, when we're talking about that in the scope of an individual tool, that's actually a valuable activity to do, because what I want to do is I would say, hey, if you've already reported and told me about this thing before, I don't want to keep being notified. I don't want to include it in my count, because I need to be able to give a true representation to leadership and to teams about the volume of work and the amount of risk that exists in the system. So when we're deduplicating, we want to be deduplicating within the scope of a tool. And that's actually something that we can do with heuristics. We can actually say, you're given a particular tool, define a heuristic, and then that heuristic can be used to identify to make sure that we don't have any duplicates in the system. Now, when we're talking about bringing data from across tools, this is where you start talking about, well, I've got a container security tool or and a SCA tool, or maybe I've got multiple SCA tools that are running, and I'm actually finding the same thing, but each of those tools is actually finding it. So I might have 3 findings for one particular vulnerability, for example. This is where correlation comes in. So here what we're going to do is we're going to use the attributes of the finding to say that these things are related, they're correlated. Now, if you've been able to watch one of our other recent podcasts about the new AI correlation that we're bringing to market, our RSA 2024, you'll actually know that I talk about this there as well. But let's just take a step back as to what I'm trying to do here. What I'm saying is these 2 findings exist in my ecosystem, but when I'm counting the number of vulnerabilities or the amount of work, they're actually the same thing. So what we want to do is we want to correlate that. We want to be able to focus the work efforts and say these things you can address all of these findings by addressing this one particular instance or correlated instance. Or maybe we're focusing on CVEs and saying, okay, how many CVEs exist within my code base or within my organization or at different levels of my hierarchy? And again, now we're correlating based upon CVE or the vulnerability. Now, we might not have a CVE. It might be a weakness, so I can correlate on that. Or I might be actually saying I want to correlate based upon the component. So if I'm going to be able to focus on work units, things that need to be done, I might say I have a certain set of components that need to be upgraded, and they are represented or found by a number of different tools. So I have a certain number of findings associated with that. What I do not want to do is to throw away those individual findings, because they represent, first of all, a liability that you need to review and make sure that is addressed. And if we deduplicate them, if we throw them away, we could actually potentially miss something. So correlation enables us to make sure we don't miss something. Deduplication makes sure that we're able to focus in on specific instances of findings. And again, focusing on doing that at an individual source tool perspective, because those things are the same. Looking at 2 scans, identifying the things which are the same in those 2 scans. But when I'm looking across tools, this is when I really need to be very careful. And it also represents an amount of work that I can provide a different level of visibility on. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little video. More to check out. Click like, subscribe as always. Be safe. And if you're coming to RSA 2024, come check us out. We'd love to speak. I'll be walking around. You'll see the guy with the blue glasses and the ArmorCode shoes. So take care. Thanks very much.